Welcome back to the deep dive. Look, I have to be honest with you right off the bat. Usually when we prep for these, I have a pretty good handle on what we're looking at. We've done deep dives on tech, history, psychology, but today I'm looking at this stack of documents that,
Yeah.
well, it claims to be a script development memo.
It's a bit of a curveball, isn't it?
A curveball. It's a knuckleball. The title here is The Thief of Heaven. And at first I'm thinking, okay, this is a pitch for like the ultimate heist movie. But then I start reading the notes and it's all about biblical theology, Greek translations, even the end of the world. So help me out. Are we reviewing a movie pitch or are we in Sunday school?
We are actually doing neither, or maybe both. I think it's best to think of this as a narrative experiment. The creative director who wrote this memo is trying to solve a problem that has existed for, well, about 2,000 years.
Which is?
The branding problem of the apocalypse.
Okay, that's a hook. What do you mean by that?
Well, think about that classic metaphor from the New Testament, the thief in the night. When you hear that phrase, what's your gut reaction?
Fear.
Yeah.
Right, I picture a burglar. Someone breaking in to take my stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Broken glass, calling 911, protecting the TV. It's a violation.
Total violation.
And that is the friction this memo is trying to fix. It argues that we've been casting the movie all wrong. In this script, the thief isn't the villain.
Oh.
The thief is the hero. And the heist isn't a robbery. It's a prison break.
Okay, let's unpack that, because that flips the whole genre upside down. In a standard heist movie, your Ocean's 11, your Italian Job, you've got a vault, a crew, and they want the money inside.
Right. But in this memo, the scriptural architecture section lays out a completely different set of rules. In this story, the world itself is the vault.
The world is the vault.
It's a high-security facility, and the people inside, they aren't the guards. They aren't the bank tellers.
They're the treasure.
They're the treasure, so the thief isn't breaking in to steal from them.
He's breaking in to steal.
He's breaking in to retrieve us. It's an extraction mission. And that reframes everything, doesn't it? If you're a hostage in a bank vault and someone blows the door off its hinges, do you scream, "Help, police"? Or do you say, "Thank God"?
Well, that depends entirely on whether you know you're a hostage.
And that is the million-dollar point.
Yeah.
That is the tension of this entire script.
So let's get into the setting. The memo describes the world not as, this neutral place, but as the system. And it uses some pretty dark language. It says the residents are being harvested.
Yeah. This is where the script gets gritty. It references a specific Bible verse, John 10:10, which is foundational for the whole concept. It sets up this dichotomy between two different thieves. First, you have the false thief.
And this is the movie's antagonist.
Right. And the memo points out something really crucial. The false thief didn't just break in. He snuck in a long, long time ago. He's already in the house.
And his goal is to strip the place of value. But looking at the notes, it doesn't seem like he's, stealing cars or jewelry.
No, it's much more subtle. And this is where that harvesting concept comes in. If you look at the section on counterfeit security, it describes a feedback loop. The false thief, who represents, the enemy or the devil in this allegory, isn't trying to kill the residents, at least not right away. He wants to domesticate them.
Domesticate them how?
By harvesting their attention, their purpose, their life force, really. The memo describes a state where people are empty, dying, and destroyed while they're still breathing. I mean, think about it. If you want to keep a prisoner docile, you don't beat them. You give them streaming services, endless career ladders. You give them political outrage to get angry about. You make the cell so comfortable they forget it's a cell.
Wow. Okay, so it's like a feedlot. You keep the cattle happy and chewing the cud until the truck shows up.
That's a horrifying way to put it, but yes. That's the implication. The false thief creates this counterfeit security. The residents chant peace and safety, and that's a direct quote from 1 Thessalonians, because the system works for them. They have food, entertainment, common sense.
And all the while, they're being slowly drained of actual life.
Exactly. So when the true thief, the rescuer, shows up, he trips the sensors.
The alarms go off.
To the system, to the guards, the worldly powers, the whole status quo. This new figure is a major threat. He's an intruder on the roof. He's coming to disrupt the harvest.
But the script makes this key distinction. He isn't breaking in to take life. He's breaking in to give abundant life outside the walls.
But here's the problem, and this is where I want to push back on you a bit. If you're comfortable in that cell, if you love your little corner of the feedlot, does a rescuer look like a hero?
No. He looks like a maniac. He looks like someone trying to ruin my weekend.
Precisely. To the sleeper, the rescuer looks like a burglar.
Okay, this brings us to the headspace of the characters. The memo has this whole section, the command. watchers versus sleepers.
Hmm.
And it analyzes this biblical instruction to watch. You know the line, if the master of the house had known what hour the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake.
Which, again, usually sounds like stay awake so you can shoot the intruder.
Right. But in this context, watching has to mean something else. Because if the intruder is the good guy, why do we need to watch for him? Why not just, sleep until he breaks us out?
Because the extraction requires participation. The memo is very clear on this. Watching isn't passive. It's not just sitting on the porch rocking back and forth. It is active, high-alert surveillance.
The document uses a table to compare these two mindsets. Let's look at the sleepers first. These are the captives who don't realize they're captives.
Their state of mind is sedated comfort. They feel totally at home in the system. They trust the walls. They think the security cameras are there to protect them, not to monitor them.
And then you have the watchers. The memo says their state of mind is existential tension. That sounds stressful.
It is stressful. That's the entire point. They feel like aliens in their own home. You know that feeling when you're at a party and everyone's laughing at a joke you don't get, and you suddenly realize, I don't belong here.
Yeah, it's really isolating.
That is the spiritual definition of holiness in this script. Being set apart. The watchers have their bags packed. They're sitting by the window in the dark. The source text here refers to it as keeping their lamps trimmed.
What means?
Spiritual clarity. Focus. They're not drunk on the wine of the system. They're not distracted by the harvest mechanism we were just talking about.
Okay, this is all very theoretical. I want to ground it. The development team included a narrative case study here, a short story called The Thief Came. It contrasts two families living right next door to each other, the Harlows and the Ellises. I really want to walk through this because it shows just how easy it is to miss the entire point.
This is the best part of the memo, I think, because it's so mundane, so suburban.
Right. So, meet the Harlows. They're the sleepers. But here's the thing. They don't seem like bad people. Mr. Harlow is a banker. Mrs. Harlow's on her phone.
Yeah.
The kid is playing video games. They're just normal.
And that's exactly why they're the sleepers. Normalcy is the camouflage of the system. Look at Mr. Harlow's attitude. The story says he dismisses all the old stories of an intruder as just superstition. He says, quote, we've got alarms, insurance, and common sense.
I want to pause on that. Common sense. Usually that's a virtue. Use your common sense. Why does the memo frame common sense as a weakness here?
That is such a key question. Think about what common sense is based on. It's based on pattern recognition. The sun rose yesterday, so it'll rise tomorrow. The market goes up and down, but it generally trends up. Common sense relies on the continuity of the past.
But the thief in the night event
Is a singularity. It's a black swan event. It breaks the pattern completely. So if you're relying on common sense, you will miss the supernatural because the supernatural is, by definition, uncommon. Mr. Harlow isn't stupid. He's just hyper-rational in a scenario that defies his logic.
The text says they sleep with hearts unguarded. So they've got the alarm system on the house, but the front door of their soul is wide open to that false thief.
Exactly. Physically safe, but spiritually exposed.
Now let's go next door. The Ellis family, the Watchers. What are they like?
Well, they aren't wearing tinfoil hats, if that's what you're asking. They're described as quiet and introspective. Mrs. Ellis is a teacher, but there's just a different atmosphere in their home.
It says they live with quiet alertness, reading ancient texts by lamplight, discussing signs in the sky.
And here's the detail that jumped out at me. They pause to listen to inner calls, not just the house creaking.
What does that even mean, practically?
It means they're tuned to a different frequency. While the Harlows are listening to the news anchor, the Ellises are listening to the wind. The daughter keeps a dream journal. They're just living in this state of expectancy. They know the lease on this system is expiring.
So you have these two houses. One is banking on the mortgage being paid off. The other has their bags packed by the door. And then the event happened, the extraction.
The arrival of the thief.
And it's not what I expected from a heist movie. I was expecting explosions, helicopters, big, loud music.
No. The narrative source describes it as a ripple in the air, a breath of wind.
Which lines up with the scriptural sources we have here, 2 Peter, Revelation. It emphasizes suddenness, but also stealth.
Behold, I am coming like a thief. The source points out that for the world, this event is a thief because it takes away what they value. But for the faithful...
Well, let's look at the scene at the Harlow's house first.
Yeah.
The thief visits them.
He passes right through. And this is fascinating. He doesn't take the TV. He doesn't take the jewelry. He doesn't touch the financial statements.
So from their perspective the next morning, Nothing happened.
Physically, nothing is missing. But the text says opportunity slipped away. Their chance for readiness was stolen in the quiet. They just sleep on, completely oblivious they've been bypassed.
Wait, I actually find that more terrifying than a confrontation, to just be skipped.
It's the ultimate judgment of the sleeper, isn't it? To be left exactly where you want it to be. You love the system. Okay, you can keep it.
That is chilling. Okay, so what happens at the Ellis house?
A total contrast. The thief finds no resistance, but welcome. Mrs. Ellis opens her eyes in the dark. She doesn't scream. She whispers, "It's time."
The story says the family is gathered not by force, but by a pull of light and promise. And then, poof, gone. They're whisked away, leaving behind warm beds and half-read books.
And it creates this haunting image for the next section of the memo, which is called the third act tragedy, the aftermath.
This is the part titled The Implications, the Failed Escape. We have to talk about the morning after, because the heist movie usually ends when the crew gets away, but this script stays with the people left behind.
Imagine the Harlows waking up. The source material describes the world as terrifyingly quiet.
The coffee maker's still running, the news is still on TV, but something is deeply wrong.
And they realize that the fairy tale they mocked, the savior, the rescue, it actually happened, and they're still here.
The breakdown of Matthew 24 and Luke 12 in our documents really digs into the mechanics of this loss. It says the house is broken into, not physically but spiritually. The goods are gone.
And the goods here means the opportunity for salvation. The analysis points out that the householder who wasn't watching suffers a loss it's total. By refusing to stay awake, the sleepers didn't just miss a flight. They implicitly chose the destruction of the first thief, the system they loved, over the life of the second thief.
The memo uses this imagery of a locked vault. And this hit me hard. The idea is that before the event, the vault was locked to keep people in, but the rescuer could break in. After the event,
The vault is permanently locked. The extraction team has left. There is no one left to break in.
it's the tragedy of the closed door. Like in that parable of the 10 virgins, the door shuts, and those outside are pounding on it, saying, "Lord, Lord, open to us." But the answer is, "I do not know you."
And why? Because they weren't watching, they weren't prepared, they were too busy enjoying the counterfeit security of the false thief.
It really forces you to reevaluate what you're afraid of. The fear shouldn't be, "Oh no, a thief is coming to take my stuff."
No, the fear should be, oh no, a rescuer is coming, and I might be too asleep to recognize him.
That's the twist. If you're clutching your worldly possessions, your status, your career, your common sense, you will see the arrival of this rescuer as a threat. You'll bolt the door against him because he's interrupting your life.
Exactly. But if you hold those things loosely, if you realize you're in a vault that is harvesting you, then his arrival is the only thing that matters.
This script development memo, it's not really about a movie, is it?
No, it's a diagnostic tool.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with the provocation from the very end of the document.
Go for it.
It asks a question that's actually kind of uncomfortable. It asks you, if the thief arrived tonight, right now, while you're listening to this,
Yeah.
would you be relieved?
Or would you be annoyed?
Yeah. Would you be thinking, "Thank God the rescue is here"? Or would you be thinking, "Not now, I have a presentation tomorrow," or "I just started a new relationship," or "I finally got my life on track"?
That annoyance, that hesitation, that is the alarm system of the sleeper. That's the system telling you that you belong to it.
The implications document leaves us with this final thought. If you aren't looking for the rescue, you will mistake the savior for a burglar, and you will lock the door.
And by the time you realize who it was, the room will be empty.
It's a lot to process. But maybe tonight, before you go to sleep, check the locks. Not the ones on your front door, the ones on your attention.
Keep your eyes open.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next deep dive.